do that all the time, and now I'm going to adjust it. There we go. Adjust it because it was all cattywampus. So I thought what I'd do today is show you a couple more things in my office. So if you've been watching my Nutshell Brainery videos, you know that I shoot here in my main study, if you will. And of course, it has all kinds of bookshelves and knickknacks and so forth. And I've showed you a little bit of this stuff before. But one comment I get a lot is the skull right here. So, you know, more, there's a term, gosh, one of you put it in the comments section. Um, memento, remembrance of death. It actually used to be in the old days. Folks would actually use skulls as decoration in their home, as reminders of death, memento mori, something like that. I'm going to stop trying to figure it out. You can Google it. That's not exactly what this is. All right, let me explain what this is. So, if you've seen some of these previous little videos and so forth, you know that my wife is a radiological technologist, which is fancy speak for a rad tech. She does the x-rays. So if you need to go in and have your back x-rayed, or your odontoid, which is right in here, connecting the spinal cord, the neck there. Anyway, if you need an x-ray done, she does the x-ray, all right? And she loves skeletons and skulls. You would think that she's like some sort of goth maniac, but she really isn't. She just loves her work, and I think that's awesome, right? So I have this as kind of a reminder of my wife. I know, morbid, right? I'm going to have a skull in my office to remind me of my wife. But to kind of give you an idea of how into this she is, it just occurs to me, this is what I ought to do. Oh, no, we'll turn that one off. Here, come with me for a second. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to take you to her studio, all right? She has a workshop, art studio, that sort of thing. So let me take you there, and I'll show you what I mean by somebody who just really loves skeletons and skulls and so forth. And again, it's because of her work. So this is her studio right here, right? This little guy right here comes right in, and then we come along over here, and she made this pillow, right, into the pillow, and then up along here on the bookshelves. Oh my gosh, it's all over the place, right? And then she does watercolor. So she did these cool watercolors. That, by the way, right there is the odontoid. And, you know, more skulls, more skeletons. And then, of course, her graduation cap, right, when she graduated as a rad tech at Salt Lake Community College. Yay, Bruins. And then, over here, another watercolor that she did, right? That's actually of this thing here, but with jelly beans in it, right? And then she's got some more right here. Make sure that that's in frame somewhat, right? And then some more here with all of her diplomas, right? Her bachelor's and her master's. So, as you see, this chick is really into skeletons, really into skulls. And trust me, there's more in here. I just, you know, gosh, they're all over the place. So that's why I have that in my office. It's kind of a little memento of my wife. So kind of fun there. All right, everyone, just a quick little intro of my aspect of my studio, but now let's actually do what we're here to do. All right, let's get started. All right, there you go. Yeah, I guess I started talking about my studio and ended up in my wife's studio, but that's just fine with me. I think her space is just absolutely amazing. You know what? I see that my gain is way high, so I'm probably screaming at you. So now I turned it down just a little bit, so I'm not yelling in your ear quite as much. I've been having issues with my wireless mic charging here lately, so we're going to just go ahead and run with the good old Shure SM7B here. Hey, so how are you all doing? I hope you had a great weekend. Great. Oh, I'm trying to type something. Oh, my keyboard. Great weekend. You know, I have a wireless keyboard and the computer is just right there, but for some reason the keyboard and mouse doesn't really like to always connect up. It's just so frustrating. I want to make sure you can see and hear me and we get folks coming on in. I'm looking forward to today's lecture because what we're talking about is how to give a great presentation, right? Now, here's the thing. A presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, standing up, presenting, it's just another channel, right? Why do a deep dive into a particular channel? Well, when it comes to internal business communication, some channels are more equal than others, right? Some are really, really important. They're used constantly. So as you know, earlier in this lecture series, we talked a little bit about direct communications, and we actually applied that to an email. For those of you in my class taking the class and doing the assignments, we applied those principles to email because email is so ubiquitous in business communication. It's just email is everything, everywhere, all the time. So it makes sense to do a deep dive into email. Well, PowerPoint and business presentations, same thing. Really important in the business world. It's difficult for me to overstress how much presentations and your presentation skills can make or break your career. I know that sounds pretty heavy, but it's really true. It's really true. So that's what we are going to talk about today. I do want to make sure that you can see and hear me. So let me know, can you see and hear me? And if I get some thumbs up, some yes, and so forth, then we'll go ahead and jump in. In the meantime, what did I do this weekend? I watched a bunch of Batman movies. All right, Sadie, fantastic. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Taylor, loud and clear. You know, loud. I'm a loud talker. As a matter of fact, in one of my first jobs not my first job, but a big job at Intel, in fact, my nickname was LT because of loud talker. And it's like, dudes, you're mean. Okay, Braden, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, then let's go ahead and get started. We're going to come over here to how to give a great presentation. Now, I want to pause for a moment and say, you know what? A lot of things that I've seen and read about how to give a great presentation, especially online when you just Google something, they cover the basics like how to choose a font or what your colors or how many bullets you should have or how many words on the page, things like that. And we will cover that. We will cover that. But that's not what makes a great presentation a great presentation. It's really, as you know, my PhD is in organizational psychology. And as with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. To a psychologist, everything looks like a psychological challenge. And presentations are the very same way. Remember, the purpose of internal business communication, what these lectures have been all about, is to affect and influence the attitudes and values and behavior of those in the organization for an organizational goal, right? So maybe you're giving a presentation to get funding for a project or to get approval for a project. The attitude and behavior that you're trying to affect with your audience is green light my project, man, and give me the money that I need for my budget. All right. And that is for an organizational objective, or to assuage the concerns of stakeholders who have already given you the green light and money for your budget, but now they want to know what you're doing with it. So the project, the presentation might be kind of an update. The point is, it's all about persuading your audience to come around to what you hope they will land on in terms of behavior, attitude, decisions, things like that. So we're going to look at this from several vantage points. All right. First one. All right, come here. Oh, are you going to be persnickety with me again? All right. Moving an audience to inspired action. All right. Now, look at this poor gal here, right? There's not a whole lot of inspired action going on. Nobody's really paying attention. And if that video were still going, there we go. She's reading from her notes. She's not only reading from her notes, but she's also has a laptop up. She's not looking at her audience. I mean, people are just eating. They're kind of paying attention, kind of not. We want to do a whole lot better than this, right? We want to do a lot better than this. So let's talk about how we're going to do this. We're going to do this by talking about what I call the 5 E's. Now, if you Google 4 E's, 5 E's, and so on and so forth, you find lots of different iterations. But when it comes to things like presentations, you want to engage, educate, entertain, embolden, and excite your audience. So let's do a deep dive into each one of these, what they are, and how we are going to do this, okay? So first, engage. By engage, I mean we want to engage their faculties, imagination, and aspirations. Now, people don't do things because you tell them they should. Okay, remember a couple lectures back, we talked about power in communications. And the simple fact of the matter is, if you're watching this video and this lecture, if you're with me right now, it's because, well, you signed up for the class, so I have position power, and I can award points, and so I have reward power, and I have coercive power. And as you remember from that lecture, those forms of power that I hold right now are weak ass at best, okay? The power that really matters is when we inspire people, when we lift them up, when we get their attention and hold their attention because we've connected with something that is important to them, all right? So this is what I mean by engage our audience. Now, how do we do this? Well, you got to have a compelling hook. Got to have a compelling hook. Now, let's take this lecture, for example. It's a lecture, but it's also a presentation. I need to be honest. Did I have an effective hook? Well, I don't know that I did. I tried to express that when it comes to making or breaking your career, your presentation skills can really have a strong effect, right? Can really impact your career. I don't know that that's a super compelling hook, but it's a way that I tried to say, what's in it for you? What's in it for you to pay attention to this lecture? Well, it'll really help your career. Well, to be honest, if I think about it, I don't know that that's a hugely compelling hook because, your career is kind of out there, it's kind of abstract, and you're not giving presentations yet. And it's, we tend to want the skills that we need right now, right? So if I were to do this over again, I'd probably say, hey, you know what? For those of you who are taking my class, you have a presentation to do at the end of the semester. Today, I am going to show you how to crush that presentation. Maybe that would be a little more immediate, a little more visceral, right? Ultimately, what you want to do is you want to help your audience envision an aspirational future. What do I mean by that? Well, when you're giving a presentation and you've got a really good engaging hook, it's because they feel like, oh my gosh, you're about to cover something that can really help me in the future. Help me reach some goals that I really, really, really want, right? So you want to help them see what they can become if they pay attention during the presentation. So that's what I mean by engage. All right. Now, the next one is educate. We want to educate our audience, giving them the skills, insights, understanding, and tools they want and need. All right. We've got to give them what they're asking for. Hopefully, during these lectures, I'm able to give you some skills. I'm able to help open up some new insights for you and give you tools that you need to be successful in your future careers. Once again, it would probably be better if I focused instead on future career, a little bit more on immediate career, but you see what I'm saying. So how are we going to do this? Well, we do it by finding the right button because my keyboard isn't always cooperating. So do your research, all right? You really want to make sure that when you present when you present the skills and tools and techniques that they need to be successful, do your research. Really make sure that you're coming with the right information that they need and that is really focused on the topic, okay? You also want to know what your audience has, needs, and wants. Remember, we've talked about this a lot. It's all about knowing our audience. It's all about knowing the audience. And so, for example, if I am going to give a presentation, a lecture, about how to give a great presentation, I need to think about, okay, what does my audience currently know about presentations? Well, my guess is you probably already know things like bullets and, charts and so forth, and we're going to talk about that. But I thought they probably already know a lot of that stuff. You guys know that stuff. So then the question becomes, what do you not know about? And what can you really use? And so that's why we're starting, first of all, with the 5 E's. And then, by the way, in a moment, we're going to talk about how to overcome your nerves, how to be less nervous during a presentation. Because my guess is that that's something that you really want to know about and that you need, how to overcome nerves during a presentation. So that's coming up here real soon. All right. So then we want to entertain. You really want, all right, there we go, there it is. Entertain them with humor, joy, insight, and what I call, well, I'll be damned. Okay, so first of all, why entertain? Guys, check this out. Right now, you're looking at me, right? But I know something. I know that you have another monitor open. You have another monitor that is looking at Instagram, or you're Googling something about a video game that you want to learn how to get by a boss or something like that. And you also have your phone up and you're texting with somebody on the phone. I'm not calling you out. I'm telling you that this is the case all the time. Even if you're in an executive boardroom, those people are up there with their laptops open right in front of you. Their laptops are open right in front of you, and they're texting right in front of you. And so you need to make sure that your stuff is entertaining enough that it can compete with all those other things. Now, whether or not I can compete with somebody that you're texting with, or Instagram, or video games, I probably can't compete. But you need to try. You need to try. Okay. What I mean by we'll all be damned is, listen, you already know a lot of stuff, and your audience already knows a lot of stuff. Sometimes the goal is not to teach them something new. Sometimes the goal is to help them look at something, Taylor, not us. I do it, Taylor. I totally do it. Sometimes the goal is not to teach something new, but to show them something they already know in a new light, right? To kind of think about something new to where they go, well, I'll be damned, right? Or to give them a new understanding of something they already know. That's entertaining, or at least it is to me. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to pull Taylor away from her texting and other monitor, right? Well, have fun with the material, people, right? Have fun with it, right? Not actually, one of my goals, I really enjoy the challenge of making something utterly boring really interesting. Now, I'm not saying I succeed, all right? But I enjoy the challenge. And so have fun with the material. Play with it. Be authentic. Oh my gosh. And you guys, all right, you already know this. I want to zoom up. Be authentic. You already know this. You know that you can smell an inauthentic person from a freaking mile away. Right? Right? You can totally smell that. And it's a turnoff. You do not trust them. You do not feel engaged with them. There we go. I'm trying to get my little numbers to work there because Taylor spoke up. And so you want to just be you. Just be you, right? Okay. And then give your own skewed take on the material. This is what I mean by, let me tell you what I mean by give your own skewed take. We're all weird. We are all weird people, okay? And weird is what makes life delicious. The problem is we are always trying to hide our weird. Now, to be fair, most of the time we probably should hide our weird, just to be polite. But your weird is valuable. Your take on the material, how you view the material, how you understand, conceptualize, and articulate the material has a special, unique flavor. Your flavor, okay? And that's fascinating, and it's entertaining. And the beautiful thing is everybody has it no matter what. So you can't really say, oh, well, I don't know that I don't have a unique. No, you do. And so share it. Be open with it. Be authentic and allow yourself to come through in your material. It's entertaining. It's entertaining. Okay. Let's keep going. All right. We want to embolden our audience. What I mean by that is embolden them with a sense of confidence and self-worth. Okay? I have a theory. That, how do I put this? People are infinitely complicated. But weirdly, we're so complicated that we're pretty darn simple. And people really just want one thing in life. They want validation. They want validation that they are on the right path, that they have value, that they are worthy of love and belonging in the community and with their friends and so forth, that they're not so weird that they don't fit in. We are constantly looking for validation. I mean, constantly. Even when you wake up in the morning and you decide what to wear, you're wearing what you're wearing because you're looking for validation. Now, I can go on and on about this, and if you're curious, we can get together sometime and we can go into more depth. But the point is, your audience wants to feel a sense of confidence and self-worth from you. They want to be validated. They want their opinions they want to feel like their opinions matter, that you're listening to them. We'll talk here in a moment about the how, right? But this will endear you to them. And if you're going to influence them, you need to endear yourself to them. So let's talk about the how, right? So, showing vulnerability, trust your audience with your skewed insights. So here's the thing. Let's take a look at this for a moment, right? I have my own unique take on things. I put up comic books behind me. I show you my home and my wife's space and everything. I tell you some stories. This is me being open and honest and vulnerable to you. I am trying to be as authentic as I know how, because you are awesome and you deserve it, okay? None of this crap separation of professor and student. No, man. We are all schmucks just muddling our way through this, okay? And so I'm going to be as open and vulnerable with you as I can, because as it says here, if I can get my mouse to work, I trust you. I trust you, and I trust the journey that we're on together. And I hope that this conveys a sense of self-worth to you, because I'm saying you're worthy of my trust, okay? Convey a sense of confidence in them. Yeah, all right. We've talked about this before. One of the reasons I love teaching at the collegiate level is I know that I am working, I don't want to say a higher caliber of person, because everybody has worth. Folks, everybody has worth. So, but I am working with a population who is interested in investing in their worth. I know you're interested in investing in your worth because you're freaking here, right? And so I have a high level of confidence that I'm working with folks who have aspirations for the future. And I find that such a turn on. I love that. Okay? Show them that they are already well on the right path. Show authentic love. Okay? This is going to embolden your audience and help them come along with you throughout your presentation. Okay? Things that I try to do. Finally, the last one is excite. All right? You want to excite them with an inspired vision of what might be, so they are eager to take action and use, with a E there, I missed the E, use what they have learned for an actualizing purpose. All right, what do I mean? I find for myself, folks, and I'm speaking for myself, I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot of inspirational, but also philosophical and business and how-tos and so forth. Think TED Talks, right? The ones that really I love, are ones that after it's done, I am excited to take action. I am excited to sit down and start writing and brainstorming and really taking what I've just learned and acting upon it. I am excited and feel a sense of confidence that this is going to be awesome. And so that's what you really want your audience to do. So if you're trying to get approval for a project, get a project greenlit, you want them excited to greenlight the project. You want them to be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool. Yes, 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 go. What do you need? Budget, personnel, resources, you name it. Do we need to take something off your plate to make sure this gets done? It's yours, right? You want them excited at the possibilities of what might be after your presentation. So, how do we do this? Well, come along, you. Okay. Share how the material has helped you through stories, right? Now, in truth, I haven't told any stories yet. I will. I have some great, horrible, painful, but good stories and so forth. But when you share how the material has helped you, then you can help them see the possibility. And yes, my presentation skills have totally made my career. Okay, hands down, hands down. And then you want to show excitement for their future, excitement for what will come to pass based on what you've just described. Okay, so those, my friends, are the 5 E's. That's what should really be guiding your presentation. But let's talk about nerves, overcoming being nervous, right? So I want to do this. Let's go ahead and play with this. What are you afraid of? We're going to go over to the question mark here for a second. We've got one contributor and one awesome comment. Oh my gosh, you guys can totally kick that out of the park. Kick it out of the park? Hit it out of the park. I don't know. I don't play lacrosse. Anyway, tell me, what are you afraid of when it comes to making a presentation? Let's play with that idea for a little bit. Okay, fantastic. Let's come back and take a look at this. So Braden, and let's go ahead and put on a contributor and awesome comment. And I'm going to give this a real world example. Valeria, of course, fantastic. And I'm going to give you that as well. So Braden says, not keeping the audience's attention. You're afraid that you're going to lose the audience. Oh my holy hell, yes. Oh my gosh, I feel you, man. So true. It's so true. Okay, so I'm with you. Valeria says, people not being passionate as I am about what I'm presenting on. Yes. Oh, I love that one. And you guys are spot on. You're spot on. Valeria, let me support yours for a moment. Here's the thing, as a teacher, I want you to be interested in this. I want you to want to develop these skills. I want you to learn to do, want to learn it. Want. But you can't force somebody to be interested in a topic. Sure, okay, I can do all kinds of bells and whistles, and I can go, hey, let's, remember this part, and I can do some light parts, and I can, taunt you.
Now go away, or I shall taunt you a second time.
Right, I can go ahead and try to get all kinds of attention and make you passionate about it, but I can't force it. I can't force it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Hey, Sadie, I'm afraid to spell something wrong or pronounce it wrong too. Okay, so by the way, Sadie, you're right. I feel ya. I get it. But I'd like to point out something real quick. In the course of this presentation, I have mispronounced memento mori, and I misspelled use. I hear ya. It's gonna happen. We'll talk about it. I love it. We're gonna talk about it. And we're getting more of these. Let's see. Taylor, not feel like people will take me seriously. Yeah. We're gonna talk about that when I talk about imposter syndrome. Yeah, that it's kind of like, who are you? Some punk ass, who are you to talk to us about this? And, look at you, you're whomever. You don't look like somebody, right? Stereotypes. You don't look like somebody who we should take seriously. Yeah, totally get it. Yeah, I'm with you. I am with you. Okay, we got to get that one up there because you're building that up too. Very good, guys. I hear you. You are right. I agree. So let's talk about some of these things, okay? First of all, and Taylor, this is going to go a little bit about being taken seriously and so forth. Remember, we talked about Amy Cuddy and her research on power poses. If you have not watched the TED Talk with Amy Cuddy, she's a Harvard researcher, you want to watch that TED Talk because she talks about body language, and I'm going to add to that voice and eye contact. You really want to practice good, solid power poses in your presentation. Because remember, it's twofold, right? The reason we do this is twofold. One is people will take you more seriously. It's just a fact, folks. It's not that we're shallow or easily tricked or anything like that. It's just in our DNA that when somebody uses a power pose, we pay attention and we kind of are drawn to that person. So you want to use power poses, maintain good eye contact, and voice modulation. All right, so they don't get bored. All right, so Braden was saying that I'm afraid of not being able to keep their attention. Voice modulation will help that. Gesticulation, body language will help that. Truth is, you gotta kind of entertain people. I know, right? It's like, I'm not an entertainer. Well, for the next 15 minutes you are. Yeah. So very good. I strongly recommend that you watch this TED Talk, right? Very, very good point, Taylor, and this will help you. All right, let's talk about the next one. Humor. Use humor, okay? I love this quote. Oh, hold on. Let's get out of the way, Lon. All right. I love this quote from John Cleese from Monty Python. Laughter connects you with people. It is almost impossible to maintain any kind of distance or any sense of social hierarchy when you're just howling with laughter. Laughter is a force for democracy. Yeah, jazz hands, Taylor. Yeah, I love it with the gesticulation. Yes, nice real world example. So using humor, really strong, really strong. Now, let's admit, remember, we want to entertain them, and Braden, this goes a little bit more toward keeping their attention, and Valeria talking about passion, that word. Humor really can kind of connect people. Now, I get it. Here's the thing about humor. Everybody, especially guys, everybody thinks they're funny. And very few people are. And so it's like, well, hell, Lon, you just told us to use humor, and then you told me I'm not funny. I know, right? It's between a rock and a hard place. But you want to be open with it, be free with it, and be authentic. Not everything you say is going to land. Not everything is going to be hugely hilarious, right? But you want to really kind of use it as a tool. Now, I have seen people use it as a tool such that it didn't come across as real and authentic, a little too practiced. You don't want that. But you want to find ways to interlace humor into your presentation. Okay, Lon, get out of the way. All right, fine. Okay, let's keep going. All right, it's not going to let me keyboard it, so we'll come back over here. Humble confidence. I'm a big believer in this, a big believer, all right? Humble confidence. Now, arrogance is a total turnoff. Anybody who comes across as arrogant and conceited, they have lost the audience. But humble confidence is really engaging. Somebody who is at once really conveying a sense of confidence that they know what they're doing, that they have a right to be in the room. You know, Taylor, as you say, people won't take me seriously. Humble confidence says, I have a right to be in the room, but we are all on our path together. We are all on a journey together. I try to portray this when I say, you've probably heard me say a lot of times, for example, earlier, when I said, hey, you're looking on another screen, you're texting, you're playing a video game, you're, who knows what you're doing, right? And I have to compete with that. And I said, folks, I'm not calling you out. I do this when I'm in a virtual meeting. And in a boardroom, they will do this. Don't let anybody try to shame you by saying, hey, as a college student, you shouldn't do this. You need to learn that, pay full attention. No. We all do it. Okay, we all do it. So it's not your job to be interested in what I'm saying. It's my job to help you be interested. That's a way that I'm trying to show a sense of we're all in this together. Okay? In a presentation, asking questions and validating responses. Remember, people just want to be validated, right? People want to be validated. And I try to do the same to you. Now, mind you, you're deserving of validation because you bring up really good points. Braden and Valeria and Sadie and Taylor, all you guys brought up things were just like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Okay? I'm not trying to trick you or manipulate you. I'm just I'm validating that what you've said is spot on. And I didn't need to tell you it. You see, I didn't need to teach you that stuff. You already know that. Accept feedback, open to sharing. Humble confidence is accepting a feedback and understands that not everything you're going to do is going to work, and you're going to and you're going to fix it. like the misspelled word of my mispronunciation. So, Sadie, you and I are on the same boat there, right? By the way, Sadie, when it comes to misspelling something, just do what I do. Call it out. Say, oh, look at that. Misspelled a word. I'm an idiot. Anyway, getting back to the topic, right? Just call it out, because everybody does it. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. And the people who just call it out and go, look at that, then everybody says, yeah, you're one of us. You're humble. You're human. You're not perfect. And then when you mispronounce something, just call it out. Just say, I don't know how to pronounce it, but whatever. Let's keep going. It makes you real. It makes you somebody that they can feel close to, because they're not trying to be perfect. So, yeah, Sadie, you don't need to get it all perfect. You really don't. Okay, let's keep going. All righty. Oh, come on. Good. I'm glad you like that. I'm glad that's helpful for you. All right, let's keep going. Come along, you. There we go. All right, Imposter Syndrome. Oh my, yes, Valeria, real and relatable. Oh my gosh, yes. That's real and relatable. Nobody can relate to perfection. Can't relate to perfection. And so you don't want to be perfect. Now, that doesn't mean you need to build in imperfection in your presentation. Trust me, it will come about organically, because we're all idiots. It's gonna come up. But use it to your advantage. Make it real and relatable. I love that phrase. Thank you, Valeria. That's good. Okay, let's talk imposter syndrome. Now, let me first define for you imposter syndrome. And it's a fascinating thing. I'm actually working on a video for it right now, a separate video. Imposter syndrome is this feeling that you have no business being here. You have no business talking about this material. You have no business telling them about all of this stuff. You're nobody. You're just a poser. You're a fake. You're a fraud. Get out of the room. You're embarrassing yourself. That's imposter syndrome. And it's bullshit. All right? It really is. You have a right to be in the room. You have unique insights. You are part of the journey along with everybody else. You are not a fake. You are not a fraud any more than they are. Now, I'm not making this up. You Google it sometime. There's some really interesting articles out there about who suffers from imposter syndrome. People like the poet, people. Oh my gosh, I can't remember her name now. You see? You forget stuff, Sadie. Anthony Hopkins. He talks about imposter syndrome. There's a ton of massively successful, serious people who kind of suffer from this, right? I was watching this interview with Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo, of course, plays the Hulk in the Avengers. And he said, you know what? When, and I forget the name of the actor who played Ultron, he says, boy, Mark, and Mark's talking to himself, here you are acting with this guy in this movie. I'll tell you what, Mark, you really pulled one over on these folks. Meaning he feels a sense of imposter syndrome. What am I doing here? I mean, it's great. Okay. So Angelina Maya, okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Taylor. Yes. Maya Angelou. Yes. She suffers from imposter syndrome. She's talked about it before, right? Just absolutely incredible. And gosh darn it, my keyboard isn't working, but you guys, we're getting you up to 10 there. It's gonna get there. Come on, you can get there. Oh, there we go. Come on, one more. Well, we're going to give it to you anyway. You know the drill, everyone. Let's go ahead and after the lecture, send me your timestamp. What is it? 9:15. 9:15. Let's put that in the comments. 9:15. And you will be all set, all right, for our first 10. Okay. And by the way, I know for a fact that we've had a couple more contributors, so we're going to add a bit there. Okay. So anyways, let's get back to center here. Imposter syndrome, all right? First of all, as it says here, it's totally okay to be nervous. It's okay to be nervous. It doesn't need to incapacitate you, all right? So nerves are actually a good thing. They sharpen you, they get you in the space and so forth, fight or flight, that sort of thing. Folks, I have been doing presentations for decades, and I mean decades, and I am not exaggerating or exercising hyperbole when I say I have given thousands upon thousands of presentations and lectures. And yet, that little countdown thing that we've seen, you know, the little countdown that says the lecture starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, that sort of thing, I get nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. And I have buttons and it's like, what's going to go wrong this time? What am I going to, get mealy-mouthed about? Where is my computer going to break down? How is all this going to go south? How is it going to go sideways? I get nervous. It's okay to be nervous, but it doesn't need to incapacitate you. All right. Next, it's okay if you don't know something. We're all learning. I don't know. Nobody knows everything. So when you don't know the answer to something or when you forget something, just call it out. Just say, I forget the name. What was it? Spacey? I forget who the person was he was acting with. Or, oh, Maya Angelou. I know it's something memo. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Again, coming back to what Valeria said, real, authentic, right? Relatable. It's okay if you're not the smartest, prettiest, most educated, most skilled person in the room. Neither is anybody else. Okay? All right, somebody might be the prettiest in the room. Somebody might be the smartest in the room over there, and that person might be the most educated person in the room, and that person over there might be the most experienced person in the room, but nobody is everything. And all of us are required to step up and present. And I've said this before, folks, the only reason you're listening to me right now is because I know more about presentations than you do. I think that's a fair assumption. I'm not dissing your knowledge of presentations. I'm just hyper aware of my expertise in that area. So I know more about presentations. However, and I want folks to chime in here. I want everybody, do me a favor, type in the comments something that you feel you could teach us about. What do you have expertise in? So go ahead, throw it in there. What do you have some expertise in? Do you know how to cook something that's really awesome? Do you know how to speak different languages? Do you know how to, program a VCR? I know. What's a VCR? Okay, you get what I'm saying though. I want to see you type in there what you guys are good at, because we're all in this together, and you do not need to be the smartest, prettiest, most awesome, educated, experienced person there. So earlier, it was, Taylor saying, not feeling like people will take me seriously. If you own what you're talking about, people will take you more seriously, okay? If you own what you're talking about, people will take you seriously, all right? And the last one Man in the arena. Okay, here's some homework. Homework. You're going to Google Man in the Arena by Roosevelt. Okay, and I just typed all that, and my computer doesn't want to pick up the keyboard. Okay, okay, Taylor, I know how to do lettering and calligraphy. That is cool. Okay, I know nothing about it, but I like to watch YouTube videos of people doing lettering and calligraphy, and I find that amazing. It's like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? Sadie, I have expertise in cooking and getting tasks done. Okay, folks, getting tasks done is a superpower. I kid you not. Getting tasks done is a superpower. If you need that skill, Sadie would be able to teach us. Valeria, powerlifting. I have a sister-in-law who does powerlifting, and I'm like, she's like incredible, right? And there's a lot to that. How do you lift it? How do you distribute the right weight? How do you make sure that you don't hurt yourself in the process? What are the advantages? Okay, you're all experts. You have a right to be in the room. Okay. I am going to, gosh, my keyboard doesn't want to work. You want to Google sometime. You want to Google Man in the Arena. I'm going to get out of the way. All right. Here we are. Man in the Arena. By the way, all of you, those were real world examples. Man in the Arena by Roosevelt, President Roosevelt. All right. Teddy Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt. You want to Google that poem, because what he basically says is, if you're not in the arena with me, and if you're not getting outside your comfort zone like I am, and if you're not getting your ass handed to you like I am, I have no time for you. I don't care. I don't care what you have to say. I am not going to let you make me feel like an imposter, because I'm here doing the dirty work, people. I'm giving the presentation. It's what you would be saying. I'm giving the presentation. I'm the one that did the research. I'm the one that really tried to figure out how to make this interesting and compelling for you. And yeah, okay, I have some misspelled words. And yeah, all right, I'm getting a little distracted by this, that, and the other. And sure, my keyboard isn't working. But you know what? I'm trying. What are you doing? That's what Man in the Arena is all about. You want to Google that. And if you really want to do yourself a favor, look at a TED Talk by Brené Brown, where she talks about Man in the Arena, and she gives you some great insights into it. Okay. All right. Now, let's go to the stuff that you've run across a whole bunch of times. All right. I want to call out, I started, yes, Taylor, yes, Brené Brown is one of my heroes. Read her books, but watch her TED Talks at least. Absolutely. I started by talking about how we want to make a presentation awesome for the audience, and how we want to take them from, I don't know what you're talking about, to, yes, let's greenlight your project or whatever you're presenting about. And I also talked about nerves, how to overcome nerves when giving the presentation, because I feel that those are the things that most of us struggle with. All right. Now, that said, we want to know, hey, how do we actually design a decent PowerPoint presentation? So let's take a moment and look at this. You want it nice, simple, and clean. You want to maintain consistent theme throughout all your slides. Now, later on, if you're in my class, you're going to have to do a PowerPoint presentation. Well, not necessarily. More about that later. But let's say you do a PowerPoint presentation with your team. You want to decide, and by the way, you do PowerPoint presentations with other teams in the workplace all the time. Different people are assigned different sections of the PowerPoint. Decide on a theme, decide on a look and feel, and maintain that look and feel throughout all the slides, because nothing looks more half-assed than a whole bunch of slides that are kind of shoved together and they all look different. That is not really compelling for your audience. Next, come along, you select colors that make it easy to read, that make reading easy. You don't choose colors that you like, although I do. You choose colors that the contrast makes it easy for folks to read. So for example, here I've just done white on gray, okay? I've done this because I know that many of you might be watching on an iPad or some sort of pad. Some of you might even be watching this lecture on a phone. And I need to make sure that even in a small format like this, you can still read the material. So make sure that the colors you choose accommodate that. Use sans serif fonts. Now, these are all sans serif fonts, all right? By the way, I don't think I use a very good font when it comes to the bullets here. I like the font for the titles, for the headers, and I think I should keep that. I don't know that it's the best font for here, so I got to work on that. Anyway, what's a sans serif? Well, a sans serif is when the thickness of the letter is consistent all the way through, all right? So we look at this N, the thickness consistent all the way through. Whereas a serif font, that's a sans serif. A serif font is when it gets thick and thin, and so forth. Gosh, let's pull up, Times New Roman is a serif font. All the fancy scripts are serif fonts. They are just very difficult to read on a presentation. The eye really likes the blocky sans serifs, okay? And in future presentations, I'll have a sample up. All right, let's continue on. Let's come along, you. I've got to figure out why that's not working. No eye charts. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Here we go. No eye charts. No eye chart. What's an eye chart? An eye chart is when there's so much information on the screen that you can't read it. I mean, we're just talking blocks and blocks of text. Now, some of you who are in my Business 1050 class, Foundations of Business Thought, you know that I actually do some eye charts because I want to read whole sections of a text. And so that makes it a little more challenging. But when you're just giving a presentation and not a lecture per se, you just want to keep it nice and simple. Don't overload your slide with a whole bunch of garbage. All right? Bullets are cues, not the presenter. What do I mean? There's a really, really big temptation to put what you're going to say on the slide and then just sit there and read the slide and never look at your audience. All right? Now, once again, calling myself out, sometimes I am actually reading the slide, but then I want to break it down a little bit. That's actually not a really good practice. I'm trying to find the balance between presenting and lecturing there. For the most part, all these bullets, they should just be cues to you on what you're going to talk about next. All right? It's not, hey, audience, just read the slide. And then use graphics and multimedia. All right? People love graphics. People love multimedia. Of course, we're doing that a lot in here, but you notice I try to put in film every once in a while just because it's interesting to look at. We do some sound effects and so on. Which brings me to the last one. Limit your use of animation. Now, where's the right balance? Hell if I know. Here's the thing. Too much animation becomes really distracting and, frankly, somewhat of a gimmick. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with bull, and animation is kind of on that baffle them side, right? So what do I do in terms of animation? Well, you know that I have the bullets scroll up. I have kind of a transition fade between the slides. You notice I have this animation going on, over here around my picture, right? So that, it just looks cool. Frankly, what I'm trying to do is find that balance between a decent lecture and Twitch. Because in Twitch, everybody does that crap, right? And I kind of like the look of it. But you run a risk of it being distracting. So when you're doing your presentations, include animation to keep the eye interested and to keep people watching and looking, but don't make it distracting. And as soon as you can find out what the right balance is, let me know. Last thing, I'm just going to throw this in here real quick. Arrive early and test your equipment. Oh my gosh. Yes, arrive early and test your equipment. So, by the way, just so you know, the reason I'm using this mic is because I arrived early to test my equipment and it wasn't working. There are a few other things I had to kind of figure out for today. You always want to test things out and have a backup plan. Oh, goodness. I have a horror story. Back when I was... Frankly, I just earned my MBA. I was like in my late 20s, early 30s, something. I don't know. And I was working for an awful company. I was not happy there. I was not fulfilled. And frankly, I was not qualified. I wasn't qualified. And we're a military contracting firm, which right away for me doesn't work well. And so I fly off to like Washington or Atlanta, or I don't know, I'm flying to someplace, and I have to give a presentation about our company's technology in front of a bunch of generals that reported to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I was so intimidated. And frankly, the audience, if they hated me, I mean, their body language was just like, you could tell that they were there under duress. I mean, I could tell you more about that later on, but the point is, it was not a kind audience. And furthermore, my technology didn't work. Here I am representing a tech company trying to sell our tech to the military, and our tech is not working. It was awful. It was just awful. It was one of the experiences that taught me Batman ring contingency plans. You need to have a backup contingency plan because there's no way to kill your presentation faster than if basic things like projectors aren't working. So arrive early, test your tech, have a backup plan. Okay? And there you go. That's it. All right? I know it doesn't say 10 on the real world, but now we're going to get there. I'm giving you 10 on the real world. And so we've got some additional points coming your way. So 9:15, send me who's a what's it email when we're all done, and I'll take care of you. Everybody, thank you very much. I appreciate it. As always, I'll stick around a little bit if you have any questions or you want to float any ideas by or anything like that. But in the meantime, happy Monday. Have a great week, and we'll see you all again on Wednesday. Have a good one.